Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey sister, how you doing?
Hi, sister.
Ooh,
Do
y'all see, I am looking a hot mess right now, sister. What you think about that?
that well. You never say you look a hot mess. So that is a shock and a surprise in and of itself.
Listen, y'all are tuned in live to hey, y'all even see we even arranged differently on the screen
Oh, we
tonight.
sure are. Okay.
Yes, child, because I was all in late getting into the studio this evening. But in typical Hey Sister fashion, what we do is invite you to like, share, follow, subscribe. Let everybody know that you're watching Hey Sister tonight. I didn't even do my pre-promo, so hopefully we get some people tuning in this evening. Otherwise, you're just gonna catch it on the replay. And if you are in the live with us, join the conversation in the comments. That's what all the action happens in the comments. So, anywho, all right, sister. All right, I'm gonna let you.
I will do the best that I can. This is not my forte to run the show in the back.
Well, I can run the stuff.
But I
But
can tell you what I've thrown up here so we can have some things to discuss.
well, let me do a disclaimer about why I'm looking a hot mess today, okay?
Yes.
As you all may or may not know, I host a women's conference annually, and this week is the seventh annual Spring into Leadership Women's Conference. It is starting on Thursday of this week. It'll be Thursday and Friday, and I am super excited about not just the lineup, but the women who are registered and going to be in attendance. For those who have not registered, it closed today, so too bad, so sad. However, there is a virtual option because I was asked by multiple people, is there a virtual option? Is there a virtual option? Once I met with my technology team, they said we can make that happen. So there is going to be a virtual option this year for the Spring into Leadership Women's Conference for that Friday, May 5th. So you can interact with us from the comfort of your home, your office, your home office, or wherever you might get that information. You might be driving around in your car. I don't know. But if you go to springintoleadership.com, you can register for an online experience ticket today. And so, with it being conference week, I'm working on my last minute things and getting adjusted after coming off a very busy week. Another busy week where I drove up and back to Destin to deliver some training content as well as participating in the Alpha Kappa Alpha South Atlantic Region Conference and delivering a workshop there as well. So coming off a very busy week and getting ready for another one, child. So today, this is what you get.
Well, let's talk about that a bit, sister. So we both were doing some conferencing. So last Sunday I couldn't be on because I was coming back from the Far Western Regional Conference in Bellevue, Washington, and I also had an opportunity to do a presentation there for our chapter presidents through the Ida L. Jackson Leadership Academy. So that was really fun. I really was trying to channel my inner sister, Demetria. But tell us more about what you presented yesterday for the ladies of the South Atlantic region.
Well, yesterday I did a workshop titled How to Have It All. And really, whenever I do any type of facilitation, workshop, training, the audience is just much of teachers and instructors and experts as I am, right? Because I engage them in the conversation. I have a framework, I have some information, I have some data to share, but it's really that dialogue. And honey, we had dialogue from beginning to end. We would have stayed there if we didn't have to wrap up and get out to our plenary sessions. We would have been there even longer. Um, but some of the key tenets about how to have it all is one of the quotes I share with clients all the time. You can have it all, you just can't do it all. We have limited time, energy, we have limited capacity, and unfortunately, we try to take on more and more things um, unnecessarily, right? So we talked about surrounding yourself with good people, having a good team. This is in personal and professional life, right?
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with a good team, making sure that you are surrounded by the people who have the right talent, skills, abilities, and capacities in order to really support you and the things that you're doing. When you find yourself, as someone said, well, I have to double check what they're doing, or I have to do this. Well, if you have to do that, they might not be the right person, or maybe you haven't trained them to do things to your standard, or because they should be able to operate like you. They should have
Mhm.
the vision should be clear, they should be able to operate like you. And if they're not, then you need to re-examine yourself as a leader and make sure that you get them right. We also talked about, instead of just thinking about their calendars as time, right, of the week, we have 168 hours in the week. And if you are not on your own calendar, then you will never feel like you have it all, because you'll just constantly be depleted. So we talked about one of I talk about Tony Jones, my mantra artist, one of my favorite out there. She has this song called Energy Budget. And I said, instead of thinking of your calendar as just some arbitrary time or some arbitrary days of the week, think of it as your energy. And how much energy are you investing each week into yourself first, because you got to invest in yourself first, before that you invest it all in others. And so we talked about that, and in addition to the different stages and phases you are in life, and how that the what having it all means, or what all means different things to different people. It means different things to us at different phases in our life. And so we can't get hung up on that comparison about, well, when I was this, or well, this person does that. All of that comparison just creates confusion and creates more stress. So those were some of the key points that we talked about. And it was a lively, heartfelt conversation. Some real honest and vulnerable sharing from those in the audience. And we talked about the importance of mental health as well for us. And I shared with them a quote I heard before, and I can't remember who I heard it from, but we always hear black don't crack, but as they say, but it cracks from the inside. So about that importance of taking care of yourself, because unfortunately, as black women, in our pursuit of our all, and whatever that all is, um we have higher rates of heart disease, we have higher rates of diabetes, we have higher rates of all types of ailments, and we're seeing growing rates in our community of mental health and depression, suicide, and everything else. So, hey, we can have it all, we can't do it all, and most importantly, we have to take care of ourselves in the pursuit of it all.
Well, hopefully, someone or two people from who participated may have an opportunity to come on, Hey Sister, and we could just talk about that, because I have so many questions and things that I want to ask as a result, but obviously we got a lot of other things to talk about. So,
A lot to talk about tonight.
a lot to talk about. So, I titled today's topics, I didn't just say hot topics, I just said it's been a week, right? What
Hmm.
a week. I don't know about you, but I feel like it took 7 years off of my life, not 7 days. It's not 7 days anymore. These weeks are really different. So I don't know, where do you want to start? Do you want to just have a rundown of the people who went to glory this week?
Sure, let's talk about those who went on the glory this week. It has definitely been a significant week in that regard. And like you said, that was just this week. Like, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
just
but
this week.
let's start with Okay, let's start with this one because I don't really have a whole lot to say.
Well, I was gonna say we have famous and we have infamous. We have fighters for human rights, and we got those who attempted to do everything possible to
Destroy a
derail
human
human rights.
piece. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So, Carolyn, listen. Here's the thing. This is what I have to say. I have I have seen a lot across the Al Gore Beyonce internet about Carolyn Bryant Donham passing away. And some people just have not been kind at all. And I can't say that I don't understand. Um, I try, as they say, you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead. I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of, yes, I guess she was somebody's mama. She did have some children. I guess they cared about her. But um, for everyone who said that they hope that she saw Emmett Till's face when she got to the other side, or maybe Mamie Till Mobley. I hope so too. I all I can think about is this woman attempted to. She didn't just destroy a young man who unfortunately did not get to live even half of the number of years she got to live. I know she passed away of cancer. I know that cancer can be very hard on the physical body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it even compared. And I feel like, to be honest, I feel like she got off easy. Because at the end of the day, she still ended up living to be, I think, 88
Mm-hmm.
years old. So all I can say is I just, again, thinking about Emmett Till's mom, Mamie, and that, because of her bravery and what she did, how many parents, like we talk about having the talk now, how many parents had to have the talk with their children after seeing his casket open.
Mm-hmm.
And she was brave. And so I don't, Carolyn Deuces, whatever happened. And but her name will forever be linked with the people, Emmett Till and Mamie Till, who deserved so much better in that situation. So hopefully history, as we see the attempts, does not try to rewrite her in a positive light, because she didn't earn that.
Well, sister, I'm going to say this. I'm going to try to throw on my empathy hat, and because I am not the judge in that regard, I'm going to throw on my empathy hat and say, because there is someone who loved her, and they experienced a loss of a loved one, and so I pray for their processing of that death and that trauma. I don't hope she see, because my belief system is that where Emmett Till and Mamie Till are residing is in a heavenly place. I don't know, because I don't know what change of heart. I don't know if she repented. I don't know the conversation she had with her God or what her God believed in. I don't know any of that. And so, just based on what we know about the act that she did and the consequences of that act, I'm gonna assume that she didn't see their faces because they're in a different place.
Oh yeah, I know. I definitely agree with that. I
But
just
I don't know what happened, and so I got to leave that alone because of the way my belief system set up. If she repented and she called on the mighty name of Jesus, then she could have been saved.
sure. And I just and all that is correct, sister.
Thank you, Miss Debbie, for agreeing with me. I see she put a little heart on that.
I just kind of believe that if that's the case, then when people said that you had said that he didn't do these things, and then y'all wouldn't have jumped to the, well, where's the proof? This author said that she said this, but we don't see no proof of it. You would have had a statement. You had an opportunity to make a statement in 80 in not 80 years, but in a long time, over 50 years.
Over 60
Over
years.
60 years, you had an opportunity to make a statement. You know they weren't going to put you in nobody's jail. So
I
I
don't know what
guess,
I don't know what statement she made in conversations she had, if she had a belief system, or her family have a belief system. So I don't know what that belief system is, because who knows? She could have went to her grave believing that she still did no wrong, and did there was no um uh, no request of forgiveness that was required, right? We don't know.
right?
So I'll just leave that there and let that be. But she dead, and that's that.
All right.
She
Next,
dead, and we all gonna die. So I'm gonna let you take care of your own salvation. How about that?
you're absolutely right. So next, before we go to Harry,
Hmm.
I had to call and try to check up on your mama, but she didn't answer me. I just asked her yesterday. I was like, "Well, girl, I was trying to see if you was okay, because we know you know you will watch a Jerry Springer episode." Like she said, more than the news. Yeah, Jerry, Uncle Jerry, that wait on to the glory, child.
Yeah, and I think he too also had a cancer diagnosis, if I recall.
I don't know. I perhaps. But listen, let me. I am being. It does say he had a brief illness. I don't know
Mhm.
exactly what that brief illness was. I will say this. We know him, of course, from the talk show, and we know it's very salacious and all of those things. But he also was a prominent lawyer, as well as former mayor,
Yeah.
so a politician, and
And his talk show did not start off the way that it ended.
ended. You right, right. But girl, it's
He tried to do the Phil Donahue,
let
yeah,
me see.
Jody said
Okay.
pancreatic, yes.
Okay.
He tried to do the Phil Donahue, Oprah Winfrey esque when he first started. He tried to do, um, but one day there was a fight on the show, and the ratings went through the roof, and it was like, I guess we gonna be fighting every day. I mean, and you would even see his face and his body language when the questions, and how he would just walk away and sulk away and just let the foolishness ensue, and just you know it, it was a ratings juggernaut.
It was, and it looked like it's been on for 100 years. So yeah.
Not quite 100.
Well, let me find out. So
And then they
how
had Judge Jerry, and I mean he had all kind of things.
right, right. He built a bit of an
Ooh,
empire
it said
on
28
television.
seasons, honey.
Well, there you have it. There you have
Yeah.
it. So, and he I was watching these clips from the Wayans brothers and their show, and how they had gone on the Jerry Springer show and all of those things. It's just, if nothing else, definitely a fixture of the culture. um Now we just got to check on Mari, even though he said this was his last season. So I don't know. He
Yeah.
may
Yeah.
not be able to leave, because what are the people gonna do?
Well, I believe in what we are seeing, and what is sad and unfortunate though is that these shows are going into more reality TV things, like,
Mhm.
or celebrity, um uninformed celebrity opinion shows on social media.
Right, right.
That's the wave. So
Well, rest on, Jerry, rest on. And then
Jerry, Jerry, Jerry. One more time.
and then of course, Mr. Harry Belafonte. Of course, we know he was a huge entertainer, but more than that, just such a fixture in the civil rights movement, um, always being there to help bail, freedom riders and different people out, using his celebrity status to speak up and out against um, travesties of human rights and seeking civil rights for everyone. And just it's with Sidney Poitier's passing a few years ago, and now Harry Belafonte's passing, even Cicely Tyson's passing.
Mhm.
These were juggernauts, right? In amongst, like, talk about celebrities, right?
Mhm.
That term, the root of it is celebrated, and some people who get that label should not be celebrated, but
Mhm.
these people, Harry Belafonte is of the ilk that absolutely should be celebrated, whose greatness transcended the thing that he does, the work that he did. um so
And
go
he
ahead.
didn't want the celebrity. Like that's
Right.
the other thing. Like I think he acted and lived did things in a way in the names of those other people who you talked about with Cicely Tyson and Sidney Poitier, uh I would say like a Muhammad Ali. I would say like a who I know when he passes, people gonna have a whole different rewrite on how they talk about him, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Hmm.
These are people who social justice, who believed in their humanness, who believed in their equity
Hmm.
and were unapologetic about it. Now, yes, they had to operate within the system and
Hmm.
within the Hollywood culture and within the system in which they came up in, and all came from obviously modest and meager beginnings because we didn't have any other beginnings at that time. Because he lived well into his 90s,
Hmm.
you know, the time in which he grew up. I mean, we're really a generation off from being enslaved. And yes, he's from the Caribbean, and yes, they were enslaved there as well. So,
Hmm.
um, but the things that he did early in his career, there's a documentary now on, I think it's on Peacock, and it's called The Sit-In, and it's about the week that he hosted the um the Tonight Show for Johnny Carson.
Hmm.
And so, kudos to him and kudos to Johnny, because that was in the 50s.
Right.
Johnny was like, "This is my show. I'm gonna do what I want to do." And that week, Harry brought all the blacks, entertainers on. It was a blackety black
Right.
Tonight Show that week, unapologetic. And there's so much power in that. When we always talk about when you get a seat at the table, or when you get brought in, what do you do with that opportunity? And he was just unapologetic about that opportunity all the time. I think Harry Belafonte is definitely one of those blueprints for us in how, as we think about equity and social justice, and how we should use our voice and use our platform, believe in our humanness and believe in our equity and operate as such. I think he's just a blueprint for that, because he didn't start out as Harry Belafonte.
Right.
He just believed in what he was doing, and so
And did it well. And um I hope that more these younger entertainers specifically, I mean, all of us can learn from it, but the younger entertainers specifically learn about, like, it's cool to do stuff for the for the wow factor, the provocative stuff. But what do you want your legacy to be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when it's all said and done, what do you want to leave behind? And he has a body of work, both musically as well as on cinema. I mean, like they were saying, the movie, let me get the specific one, Island in the Sun, where he had this supposed romance with a white woman that was played by Joan Fontaine, that it enraged Southern audiences. So it could not even be played in the South. When we think about that, it feels so far, like so long ago, but yet it's not. And especially as we see, again, the rewriting of history, the how we see the censorship of certain content, it's like that could all happen again. And so and is happening. So, but just salute to Mr. Harry Belafonte for using his life, as we were talking about earlier today, being a light.
Being a light. He was most definitely a light. And hey, and he as well as with Sydney, some people have a complicated love relationship with them, because they're like, okay, y'all like blackity black down for the cause, but then they were married to them white women, and so people like, say what now? So I think we say love is love, but there's always that people have those type of questions. But I would say that, again, he was a blueprint, and the way he lived his life and understood his humanness, and how he was equitable, and that he could live unapologetically as himself, is a message and a powerful example for all of us.
Absolutely. Yeah. So rest in power, brother. All righty. So where should we go now? Would you like to talk about the media mayhem? Because it's been...
Ooh, child, which one you want to talk about first, honey?
I couldn't even be like, you about to lose your jobs. I'm like, no, they lost it already.
They lost their jobs, honey. Go ahead on it.
I'm gonna talk with your little friend Tucker first. Not the King of Swing.
I'm about to say Tucker. Hey, y'all don't know. If y'all ain't from Louisiana, y'all don't know about that Tucker, honey. Y'all better go get y'all some Tucker in your life.
Not that one, but this one.
This one. Oh.
So labeled it media maneuvering.
What is it? Who is he? Swanson, isn't it Swanson Frozen Chicken Dinner? Ain't he the heir to that? I think it's Swanson.
I did not know that.
Let me look it up.
That would explain so much about his entitlement and
his entitlement in his whole life, girl.
Right. Listen, I called it media maneuvering because I find it all very interesting, the timing of it all. So it sounds like there's the Old Dominion law. Is Old Dominion the lawsuit?
It ain't Old Dominion. Old Dominion is a college. Yes.
What's it called?
Dominion.
It's just called Dominion. That's it.
Oh yes. So yes. Patricia Swanson married Tucker Carlson's father. Yes. So the Swanson TV dinner company. Yes, honey. That's
The Dominion voting systems. So it says that there was a settlement reached, and that the Fox News will pay more than $787 million to Dominion voting systems after the sides hammered out a last-minute settlement Tuesday in the explosive defamation case.
So first, let me do a little pause right here, because my friend who is an attorney, we talked about this. I don't know if you're watching right now, you're gonna watch in the replay, but shout out to you, Donald Naylor, because people are like, why they settle? You took a company, I think, that was valued at $84 million, and they got a settlement for $720.
Nope, $787 million.
$787 million. Girl, you all would have settled. Okay? Let me just say that right here, right now.
Well,
baby.
that and also because that's what folks with money do all the time.
And
They
the
settle.
attorney's gonna take they big cut.
They cut.
But if your company went from a valuation of 84 million and then you won because they won when they got all of the stuff out in the media, all of the text, all the stuff then discovered. They had already won at that point, in my opinion, right?
Right.
But child, I was like, that's almost 10 times your current valuation. I think we check, please.
So why? So the timing of it all. Does it feel like it's coincidental that little Tuckums got put on out the dough? What'd she say?
She said everyone would have settled their stomach, that lawsuit, and everything else for that amount. Absolutely. Um. Okay, so this is what I think, and based on the news that I have watched and paid attention to, but also knowing that Smartmatic, I think, is another voting machine company that has a lawsuit that is gearing up. And Smartmatic is suing for like 2 billion. So they upped the ante on the 1 billion that
Okay.
Dominion did. And Smartmatic has already said, we not settling. So much discovery has already been brought out to the fore. And all of that is gonna help Smartmatic case even more, right?
Mhm.
I think it was like, listen,
2.7 billion is what Smartmatic is seeking. Dominion was seeking 1.6 billion,
right.
but got settled for the 787 million.
Yes.
Which
So they
again.
so Smartmatic said, we not settling
Mhm.
and we coming for more. Because they've already showed us that they probably, if they would have gone further, they could have gotten that billion probably if they would have gone ahead on the court. But they were like, go ahead on to the jury process and whatever.
Mhm.
So a few things. We know that more text messages and more information that he shared was going to be made public and is going to be made public in this next lawsuit. I think it's a chance to say, you know what? Before you in that time slot, we had Bill O'Reilly. Before Bill O'Reilly in that time slot, we had Glenn Beck. Before Glenn Beck, we had somebody else in that time slot. And what we will do is we will find another obscure, unknown person and put them in that time slot, or put some type of show together in that time slot. Let's go find, oh, I forgot. No, Glenn Beck. Then we had Megan Kelly. Then Bill O'Reilly. I can't remember how all the maneuvering in there.
It doesn't
It don't
matter.
matter. But we'll either find another generic white male or a generic blonde female and put them
Because
in
they
that,
do love them blonde over at the
and we will put them in that time slot, and we will grow the ratings once again. And you know, if he goes over to Newsmax or wherever else he may go, maybe he will land on one of those places. But what I do know is that they don't have the depth of resources. So they will need to tread very lightly, because companies now see, if y'all mess with us, we can be winning here.
Well, I guess it's interesting to me why him specifically, because it looks like there were a plethora of individuals that they could have fired. So him specifically is very interesting. I don't know if that was to send a message, or or if that is even part of the settlement, because we don't know all the details of the settlement, right? But what I will say is, it is
But let me
baffling.
pause. Hold on. There was also the alleging of uh the sexual harassment. There's a sexual harassment suit in there. They've already been sued for that before.
Right. Right. That's yeah.
So we don't need to go through this again.
Right. Well, I just found it interesting that it was Tuckums. Not that I care. He's very disturbing to me on many levels. There was a reel that I think the Lincoln Project put together. Like just even his laughter, it was a little concerning. So, I don't. My heart doesn't bleed. I'm sure he'll bounce back somewhere. And if he doesn't, like you said, he's an heir or he has a family relationship with the Swanson
Mm-hmm.
Food. So he'll be all right. But what I do find it the hard part for me is the number of people who, like, you always say, know the difference between news and opinion. I mean, news is problematic enough, but these opinion shows, anything that has a person's name in the title means it is their opinion. And the fact that people latch on to these things, and someone like him specifically, just so dangerous, and
Mm-hmm.
people latched onto it as if it is truth. It
Mm-hmm.
is truth. And that is my issue, because in the next few weeks or what have you, again, I don't know if this was a part of the settlement. Maybe he can't say certain things, but I could absolutely see him, just like with Donald Trump getting arrested and he putting it out there, and then saying, send me money to help me. And it's like, do y'all not, like, y'all don't connect the dots at the fraudulence of all of this?
At the grift, honey, the grift is real. We
The
just
grift
we
is
just
real.
not grifters.
Right. But clearly. So we'll see what Tucker comes back with. But again, he'll be all right. They always are.
Oh,
So
he will be, and he's gonna probably land on, if not on one of those other channels, like I said, Newsmax, OAN, or he'll create an online podcast, which I think he already
that
has.
yeah, yeah.
It'll be something like that, child.
Yeah, he'll be all right. He'll be all right. But now for a little bit more, the media mayhem at CNN, because I guess it felt like a big
Don said they ain't even called me. They should have had the decency to call me. And then they were like, we asked you to come up to the office, but you went ahead to Twitter first, honey. That's what they said. I don't know if you read all that, but that's what they said.
I didn't read all that, but what I did say, like, okay, so first of all, brother Don,
Louisiana
Louisiana,
native. Come on, Vacherie,
yeah,
Louisiana.
we listen. I wish you the best. I
I hope
knew.
you come on, Hey Sister, so we can talk about it, Don. I'm gonna put it out there in the NFL. All y'all who watching in the replay, y'all tweet Don Lemon and tell him he needs to come on here with these girls from Thibodaux, Louisiana, since he was from Vacherie right there down the street. No, he know Thibodaux, I promise you.
Let's just talk about it, Don. But no,
Let's talk about it, brother.
So first and foremost, I think Don also will land on his feet, But listen, when they said Don couldn't drink for the New Year's Eve, we already knew it was starting to look, yeah. Because then, as my friend said, you told him he couldn't drink. Then he missed the ball dropping, and I'm like, right, he never missed the ball drop while he was drinking. But the minute you tell a man he can't drink in New Orleans, come on, man. So it was looking downhill for them from that point. Then when they took Lil Don off the nighttime and put him in the morning, you can't have them kind of swings. We was accustomed to seeing Don at the end of the day. We wasn't ready to wake up with Don.
But see, part of, I think, the move of even moving Don from the night, because remember, it used to be
him and then Chris Cuomo.
Chris Cuomo, yeah, and then Chris is gone because Chris was trying to do the shenanigans and trying to cover up his brother crimes.
Chris said, "Listen."
So he on his own podcast and show now, like
he's on the other one of them other shows, networks as well. So he's hoping, I guess, that Don is gonna come over there.
What network he done landed on? Girl, let me go find out. Child, where is Chris Cuomo?
Let's see. It is News Nation.
Now, see, I'm looking at you with the side and the eye. Because
what you know, I'm just
We
telling you.
because we know that's a whole right wing conspiracy. But I'm gonna leave you right over there, News Nation.
I mean, listen, the News Nation
Hmm.
said they had to do whatever they had to do to get started. They said that we not OAN. I don't know. It's too listen.
I don't even know how them networks are surviving. Okay, stop it. I
I
guess
mean,
my pillow got a lot of money because he's the only advertiser they probably have. But go ahead.
I think he's
I,
on OAM though, but he must have a lot of money because I didn't even buy. I don't buy those pillows, but apparently a lot of people really like those pillows. Anyway, I'm getting off and down. The point is, for a lot of us, the feeling is that Don received some unfair treatment because he had this interview with Vivek Ramaswamy, a right-wing GOP presidential candidate who felt it necessary, as often folks do, to explain to a black person what the black experience is like.
girl, come on
And
with it. Tell it.
of course, in Don's, saying, look, I'm he said, whatever ethnicity you are. If you listen to the interview, he wasn't being snarky. Because if he had made an assumption and just said, I don't know, said he was Pakistani or something like that.
Hmm.
And the gentleman is Indian, in which he said he's Indian and very proud of it. If he had just made an assumption about his ethnicity, that would have been problematic too.
Hmm.
So maybe saying whatever ethnicity you are, it didn't come out well, but it was a way of saying, look, I'm not going to make an assumption about what your ethnicity is, but whatever your ethnicity is, you're not a black American.
Hmm.
And this is my lived experience. And so therefore you can't tell me about my lived experience. You can't try to rewrite history about the NRA being there to help black people and ensuring um their rights to bear arms when we know that the NRA conspired and worked along with the federal government as well as local governments, state governments, like when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California,
California.
to jail and attack members of the Black Panther Party
Come
who
on.
were exercising their
There's
right
their
to bear.
their second right amendments. How about that?
So, Don is like, I'm just calling you to the carpet. We could come back and have another conversation, but what you're not going to do is you're not going to sit here and try to play me. And I get it, because that is one of the most infuriating things that a person can do. I don't make no assumptions about what other people's lived experiences are. So how is it that so many folks who ain't never been black a day in their life feel like they could tell us about the black experience? It baffles me.
Baffles me all the time. And okay, we ain't even gonna go down that road because we gonna have to address on another time Mr. Phil Jackson and his comments. Okay.
Oh, I don't. Let me look.
Yeah, go ahead. Look, but Don, I'm gonna say this. I would love to have you talk about it. I think the Vivek, whatever his last name is, I don't know. Um, it was that. It was the Nimrata comments as well, even though as she's clutching her pearls because he made the comment like, well, if you Google a woman in her prime, it says this. I think it was a combination of things, but I think it's about a year ago, CNN got some new leadership. They said
Mhm.
they wanted to add more balance, add more, mix things up. And what I want them to do is go back to Ted's original vision and report
Hmm.
the news.
Right.
That's all I want y'all to do. Go back to the original vision because your CNN stands for Cable News Network. I want y'all to be the Cable News Network, not the Opinion News Network. And if
Right.
y'all do that, we'll be fine. Will you have highest ratings? Maybe not. But you could pick up those ratings with some of your documentaries and different programs. I mean, you have award-winning documentaries. So you can pick up some advertising dollars in those spaces. But when it comes to reporting the news, what CNN was known for was reporting the news and hiring real journalists. That's all I want from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well, girl, you got me reading about what Phil was talking about. But yes, I agree. I just want us to go back.
Yeah, Phil Jackson. I was like, ooh,
So
Right.
he had a problem with the fact that there was Black Lives Matter and justice and equality, and
He,
that's another
he can't
thing.
he can't watch the NBA because of that.
You shouldn't be able to watch it because the basketball sucks. You
How
shouldn't
about
be
that?
able to watch it because you got everybody feel like they got to shoot a 3-pointer when 2 points works as well.
Come on
Put
with it. Come
two
on,
points on the
sister.
board. Okay.
hmm
When nobody wants to play defense, everybody wants the refs to call a foul for everything. Y'all adding all these new, yeah, it's so many theatrics. You
So many
add
theatrics.
new rules that don't even make sense. Like, there's plenty of reasons why you could say, I'm just not enjoying basketball anymore. But for you to have a problem with the blackety black sport of basketball. Now I know Mr. Naismith didn't start it out that way. But
When Phil was playing, the tide was already turning.
right. And you have coached some of the quote unquote best who've ever played the game. And this is so you were sitting with that, but and again.
When Phil was playing in the 60s. So let's break it down and break it back. Because, see, when Phil was playing in the 60s, there was one young man who started at UCLA, and his name was Lou Alcindor, and he changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he was the youngest. So when that photo you see of Muhammad Ali and Bill Russell and Jim Brown, and you know that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was like the 20-something-year-old in that bunch.
Yeah. Had
Like
a lot
you
to lose.
had a lot to lose, had everything to lose.
Yeah.
You came up in the era and the time. So I want you to do like my man in San Antonio, my pop, Greg
Yeah.
Popovich. I want you to do like my man in Golden State, Steve Kerr. I want you to educate yourself. Because whatever the books you're reading and the Zen master that you are, I'm gonna need you to get out the Eastern philosophy and come on over into some of this American history and some of this American experience and some of this Black American experience that you came up in as a player, but have since, and you was hippity hip hip, like Bill Walton. I need you to take your blinders off now that you are of a certain age and recognize why those messages were there. I need you to identify with, let me understand what is the player experience today.
Right. I mean, and again,
And keep your mouth shut before you say something.
We're sitting in a space and we're sitting at a time where we are seeing so many.
And then hold on, let me tell y'all too. I'm sorry. And then you know who podcast he was on when he said that?
No. Who?
Look and see who podcast he was on when he said that. Who didn't stop him and didn't interrupt him and then say what
now? I'm trying to see. Hold on. It says, with Rick Rubin. During an appearance on the
This the 50th anniversary of hip hop and Rick Rubin. You won't get out here and be stupid.
Rick Rubin did what the girl lady sitting next to Don Lemon did. Said, I'm not gonna step into this.
They did the Homer Simpson.
Right. Yeah. Like, you know, I didn't listen to the podcast, so I would have to listen to it. Let me be fair here. But what I will say, and again, this is why, number one, don't invite everybody to the cookout, right? Because it is the silence of our friends.
Boom. Come on, Dr. Kane.
I just don't need, I need people to understand just because Rick Rubin like Meek Mill and hang out with Meek Mill every day. It is the silence of our friends. That's a time when he had an opportunity to say something. And if he did not say, whoa, Nelly, slow your roll there, little Phil. I think you're speaking from a point of privilege, a point that even as a coach, when you were coaching all of these young men, that their lived experience, even having the quote unquote millions, because folks always somehow think that money buys you freedom. Even with all the millions that they had, they still had experiences that you've never had. I think about LeBron James moving to Los Angeles and having the N-word sprayed on his garage door.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't protect him from racism. It didn't protect his family from being there, being victims of it either. You know, so yeah, Phil, I'm gonna take your blinders off. Sit down and talk to somebody other than Michael Jordan, child. Talk to somebody who can help you understand that of all the things you should be disgusted about with when it comes to the NBA, that ain't it.
Mm-hmm.
And let us be very, 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 very clear. The branding is just that. It's branding. It's not action.
Mm-hmm.
It's t-shirts. Yes, they're making a statement,
But
but
they not.
they're not. It's like every company who had so much to say after George Floyd died, and now they just won't even fund a DEI project.
Mm. Actually, they going along with the removal of DEI as these state legislatures are, right?
Right.
Mm.
Or simply shut up. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know, it's okay to simply be quiet. It is. It is. Or, you know, again, he could have said, like, of all the things, there's so many things. I watch basketball and there's so many things that I'd be like, wow, that is not what my daddy taught me. It just ain't no kind of defensive stance happening. It
No
ain't no
defensive
boxing
stand, no
out,
boxing out, no
no
rebounding. We got
rebounding.
carrying and double dribbling all day long,
I
traveling
mean,
that
they
we
be
don't
like
even
this with the ball.
right. Yeah, we don't call traveling no more unless like I mean, and like I said, this number here, because everybody's looking for a flagrant foul to be called. It's just like, child,
Yeah.
listen, y'all go ahead on do your acting career because it's ridiculous. Yes, traveling like they going on trips all day, every day. And
Right.
and right. And so there's so many reasons, as you said, that he could have been like, you know what, really, I don't really enjoy watching anymore because this is how I see the degradation of the game. This is how I would like to see the game come back and some things restored. But if you can't watch because they got BLM spraying on some pine wood on the floor,
Right. That's gonna get switched out like often.
they got switched out that same night because they had a concert the next day.
Right.
Shut up.
Well, as my sister would probably say at this point, you are tuned in live to Hey Sister with Christina and Demetria. Hello, everyone. We are
Hey.
just talking about some hot topics for the evening. And if you don't already, please like, follow, and share. Subscribe. Tell a friend about Hey Sister because we have a lot of wonderful things to talk about. And it's all about you all being in the comments that make the show exactly what it is. So, with that, sister, I think we have just a few more topics. So, have you started watching Dear Mama on Hulu yet?
So I have not started watching Dear Mama on Hulu. I will say that I know you talked about it. I haven't started watching it because I don't need I can't put it in my spirit right now. As I said at the top of the show, I'm getting ready for my conference, my women's conference, and um, you know, knowing some of the trauma
Mhm.
um that will be discussed and revealed, I was like, you know what, I can't put this in my spirit right now. I'm gonna wait until another point in time when I am ready to really get into it and really understand. Um, I remember the day Tupac died.
Mhm.
Um, and I remember going to my aunt's house and my cousins were outside and I was like, and they were just like, yeah, Pop gone. Like, and I was like, he was so much I mean, it's just like shooting star,
Mhm. Mhm.
just a shooting star, just burned out fast. Came into our atmosphere and burned out fast because he was still, I mean, what, 27 when he passed away?
No, he wasn't even that old.
Wasn't 27, 25?
I thought it was 25. Let me see.
Mm, I mean,
Yeah, 96 and 71. So, yep, 25.
yeah. So I guess he was 25. Biggie must have been 27 because Biggie lived another, what, I don't know, a year, months later. I don't know.
About a year or two or something. A year, I think. Um, yeah, so here's the thing. I do take one episode at a time. And of course there's a few that are now out. I had to wait for a week before I think we watched two in one earlier in the week and then or last week and then one this week. Anyway, the point is it is a really good show. I think it's very well done. It does show you that some of it I had forgotten about how many times he had been arrested. But it I have a different level of empathy
Mm,
for him. Um, Especially just when you think about somebody being that young, having that level of exposure in the world, wanting something so bad, grinding so hard to get it. And then when you get it, it's like it's like getting hit by a Mack truck or something, because then it was just so many different things happening. And um, you know, fiercely loved black people, but was just so contradictory in so many of the behaviors on how that love could easily turn into anger and rage and violence. And to your point, very short-lived. Reminds me a lot of my uncle, our uncle, just being this again, a light that dims so quickly.
quickly. Hmm.
And but at the same time, like we were saying earlier about legacy, it's still something of amazement that there are people your son's age, people in this generation who are wearing Tupac shirts.
Hmm.
It is still something, somewhat of a sense of amazement that he did leave a legacy,
Hmm.
you know. Um, and if you seek to only look at the bad stuff, well, there's a lot of bad stuff that you could choose from. But if you literally did delve, if you chose to delve deeper, it's so many positive things that he left us with.
Hmm.
And it's just heartbreaking that at such a young age he was unable to process. And again, we always talking about Dr. Lana. We're
Hmm.
always talking about that prefrontal cortex, always talking about how our brain functions. And I just see a young man who literally was born under the some of the most violent circumstances.
Hmm.
Um, wasn't born in jail, but like he said, he was cultivated there.
Hmm.
And to then come out in the world having grown up with this spirit of a panther,
Hmm.
right? But then we know all the things that happened to the panthers,
Hmm.
and trying to work through all of that. It was a lot, and it's really, I think it's really well done. It is by Alan Hughes of the Hughes brothers, which is very interesting because I had forgotten that he had fought him. So just, but it is very well done. So I will say, if you get a chance to watch it, do, because I do think you have a better understanding of who he is, or at least I do. But now I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna wrap it up. I got questions for Jada Pinkett Smith because we ain't talked about her yet, and I'm like, we didn't talked about Jasmine Guy's relationship with him, like friendship, true friendship.
Mhm.
Girl, I don't even know when he was in Baltimore like that. I'm like, this woman, did she just make up this in her mind about what? Because we ain't talked about her yet, and maybe it's coming.
I'm sure it is coming, but again, they
But
were
we about four
friends,
episodes in.
but he was not there very long.
Yeah,
He
but that's
wasn't
what I'm
there
saying.
very long. But we know people who
Remember,
create fantasies in their mind about a relationship and like the significance of their friendship. And it was like, yeah, but y'all really weren't friends that long. You were friends like at 14, 15 years old, and then he
because
was
I'm like, he didn't even
yeah.
his high school, where they started is his high school in Marin County in Northern California.
Mhm,
They talk about him having, his early years in New York City,
mhm,
being in New York, which put shed a whole new light on the whole East Coast West Coast beef situation that they had,
mhm,
and the juxtaposition of, to the Panther parties, because there had been some East Coast West Coast beefing with the Panthers
mhm.
years prior. But I'm like, we ain't said two things about Baltimore. I ain't heard nothing about Baltimore yet. And I'm just sitting up there. I know he was on a different world because, like you, we all are different world fans.
Mhm,
But when he was shot, he was staying at Jasmine's house.
mhm.
Girl, where was I just got to ask. I just want Will Smith that wrote a whole book and talked about how he was jealous of this man for what? This because clearly she only had a relationship with him. It didn't go the opposite way.
Mhm.
It, I just had to say, I was sitting up there like, wait a minute, he was staying with Jasmine? They ain't said nothing about Jada. We on episode 4. They like an hour long.
But Jada introduced them.
We ain't said nothing about Jada.
All
So,
I know is this. All I know is this. As we talk about folks in the industry who life, you know, Janis Joplin died at 27. Jimi Hendrix died at 27. Tupac 25. There are some people, and we could go on, especially in that music industry, who they were like I said, shooting stars, meteors. They just like, psh, and that was it. And they did so much in so little time, right?
mhm.
So much in so little time in terms of content, impact, messages. There was so much.
Yeah.
So I'll watch it at some point because, but what I've always known about Tupac, and where even when I kind of was like, okay, I can't listen to you no more, is that he was a constant contradiction.
Mhm.
And I think that many people's lives are like that, a constant contradiction. So you saw the struggles that he was having. Um, you heard the struggles that he was having. As you said, in one breath loving women, black women, in the other breath tearing them down. And in one phrase of a line is celebration of the culture, and the next line tearing it down. So yeah. So we got another
Well,
comment here. It always makes me wonder how they did it at that age. It feels like their 25 to 27 wasn't the same 25 to 27 I had. Yeah.
it feels that way, but I also think that, look, we've all, and we're going over our time, child. I guess we got to wrap this up. We all have been conditioned and taught a certain path that we should take growing up, right? So for many of us, the idea of not going to college was not an option. For
Mhm.
him, the idea of going to college wasn't an option. It
Mhm.
was, I gotta take my mother is addicted to drugs. I gotta try to take care of my sister and my family. And the thing that people keep saying, or the thing that I'm good at, because it started off as poetry and then it evolved into, rapping. And that's the thing I'm good at. That's what I gotta use, whatever I'm best at, in order to go out here and get
Get
it.
us out here.
And I guess that's what we all can do. Use whatever we're the best at to go out here and get it. So make sure
Use
you
what you got. Use what you got. And you, why does it say
use what you got to get what you want. What?
yeah, no, use what you do, all you can, use what you have, do all you can, and just go get it. And that's how we got to live every day.
Absolutely. Well, with that, I'll play the role of Demetria and sign us off. And thank you all again for tuning in to Hey Sister, and have a wonderful week.
Bye
Bye.
bye.